For 3 hours, lawyers Ahmednasir, Abdulahi and Fred Ngatia implored the judges not to invalidate the presidential elections and allow their client Uhuru Kenyatta to be sworn in as president. Ahmednasir, who was the first to present before the judges, argued that the elections had been held under an environment very conducive to NASA, as they had gotten all they had wanted. The IEBC was recomposed, the electoral laws were changed, and they even brought to court numerous cases challenging the electoral process.
It was actually on an industrial scale, the litigation on an industrial scale, in which they litigated each and every aspect of the electoral law to ensure that the election is conducted as they demanded and required.
Ahmednasir argues that if the Supreme Court were to nullify the election, then it would be infringing on the rights of all Kenyans voted in that election. He argues that an election should not be declared invalid because of mistakes or errors committed by IEBC staff. They claim that as long as there were no illegal voters, then the court should not invalidate the election.
Can we invalidate such a basic foundation of that right, of an illiterate Kenyan who exercised his right, who walked out of a polling station? But because one of the agents of the candidates did not sign, we say, no, that man has not voted. My lord, that will be a travesty of justice, and that's not what this constitution is all about.
The lawyers have urged the court not to depart from the decision it made in the presidential petition of 2013. They say that despite the criticism that has been leveled at that decision, none has been on peer-reviewed journals, but most of it has been opinions.
Because of the apex nature of this court, when you interpret the constitution, you are telling Kenyans that this is what the law means. My lord, if you change after 1 month and say that, no, this is what the constitution means, people will not take this court seriously, and I'm glad you have not done that so far.
They have dismissed allegations by NASA that there was a mathematical formula used in the election and which kept increasing Kenyatta's votes. They even defended Jubilee's performance in the elections with charts that showed how many elected leaders it got in the country, claiming it was almost a similar performance with the presidential election.
This petition is based on the theory that results that were being transmitted by the first and second respondents were intercepted by either aliens or extraterrestrial forces, changed it in favor of the third respondent, don't explain why it was not changed on behalf of Dida or my friend Ekuru, but for the third respondent, manipulated at a frequency of 11%, and the third respondent won, my lord, as a result of that. That is pure science fiction.
There was no mathematical predetermined way of voting in the contest, and there can't be.
Jubilee also dismissed claims by NASA that chiefs had been intimidated to campaign for the president in Makueni. They say Kenyatta performed so dismally in the area. The lawyers have depended on the reports published by several observers who are in the country and who gave the elections a thumbs up, including John Kerry of the Carter Center. Ahmednasir and Ngatia say that according to their figures, the votes that were taken away from Odinga through the clerical errors was only 800 and Kenyatta lost 2,000, all of which cannot change the outcome of the election.
A difference of 1.4 million is significant. It is a difference that shows the will of the Kenyan electorate. And when one compares with the numerical differences which have been brought before you of 800 votes, then those numerical differences can only be said to be quite insignificant.
The parties, however, were at pains to explain why there was such a big difference between the votes cast in the presidential election and the votes cast in the elections of other positions.
You're given 6 ballots, but there is no corresponding obligation that you must vote for all the 6.
It took 3 lawyers to explain how other ballot papers can be accounted for.
Where a voter collects the 6 ballots.
Yes.
Because the assumption is we will be given all 6.
Yes, you're given all 6.
And you want to vote for only one candidate.
Yes.
Where do the other 5 ballot papers go? It's a very simple question.
Even having been given the 6, and even with the color coding that the ballot boxes have and the ballots themselves have, room is still created for what your ladyship correctly called the stray ballot, which is a correct ballot placed in the wrong box.
You've been given 6,
Yes.
but you have elected to use only 1.
Yes.
That leaves you with 5.
Yes.
What we are asking,
Yes.
where do those 5 go? How are they accounted for? It's a simple question.
Oh, yes. And
They're not stray.
If they are still put in the box at the point of counting, because you have not indicated who it is that you are voting for, becomes a rejected ballot.
With the hearing now over, the judges have until Friday to deliver their ruling. Andrew Ochieng, NTV.